Okay. Now today I will take one more scenario. Okay. So scenario is this time let's take some big one. Okay, when compared to these two triggers. Yeah. Okay. So what is happening? What is? I mean, it's not working.
Srini, are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we can write like this only also, right? Instead of writing employee table, we can directly query project table.
Yes. We can write like this. Yes. But the thing is, right? Cost of this query, it is consuming to SQL queries.
Okay.
So if you see, so outer query and inner query, it count to SQL queries. So using more SQL queries, right? Again, it will be a expensive one. That's why. So we should avoid using multiple SQL queries. That's why. I mean, I think this one also. So sorry. Yeah, this one also. I think in last class I explained, right? If you see, this one I commented here, right? So this is, I mean, this will consume two SQL queries. So that is the reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I sent you the wrong one. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. There is another query. Sorry,
Mhm.
I created a couple of other things. Yeah, this one. Yeah, in where condition itself, we can put it as sub-select.
Where condition?
Yeah, where condition, right?
Yeah.
So we are selecting all IDs of the projects. Where ID in select project C from employee C, and ID equal to new trigger or old trigger, because if it is a delete, is only old trigger. If it is a creation, is a new trigger, right?
Yeah, correct. Correct. So, but this will also consume one more SQL query, right? Okay, so in where condition, again we are writing one more SQL query. So again it will count again.
Do they consider where also another condition?
Yes. So
Okay.
it will
And
also,
also one more question. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, it will consume as multiple SQL queries.
Okay. Even okay.
Even in where condition also it will consider, it will count.
Oh, okay. And also, do they calculate the queries based on number of queries, or just based on number of fields we are fetching?
Queries, right? No, number of queries.
Okay.
So whatever the number of queries we are including, so based on that it will.
Oh, okay.
That is,
I think somewhere in the limitation for governor limit for by query fields also. I don't know. But can you check it and get back to us?
yeah, on query fields also there is a limit, but
Limit.
I don't think so. I think more than 500 fields we are including. But
Okay.
the thing is, right, recommended approach. So if you include more fields, heap size will be increased.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, heap size will be increased, and chances of hitting that heap size error. So that's why, right, whenever we write any query, so whatever the fields we need, only we query those fields. So whatever the fields we are not dealing, so don't query. That is the recommended approach.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's take one more scenario. So scenario is right. My requirement is, so users also one object in Salesforce. You see users object, that is also one of the object in Salesforce. Okay, I'm going to users. So requirement is, in users you can see one field called role. Okay, and again one more field called division. If you see right, so in user object there is one field called role. Okay, and again one more field called division. So now the requirement is, so whenever I change any role, or else whenever I select any new role, so I will maintain the mapping in one of the somewhere in one of the object. Okay, so I take one mapping, so role and division mapping. Okay, so maybe role CEO, for CEO some division I will give. Suppose maybe um, division one. So like that I am giving. Okay, so for COO some other division. Suppose like that I am maintaining a mapping. Okay, and again, right, if you are not having any questions, please be in mute. Okay, I'm getting some disturbance. Okay, so like this, I maintain the mapping. Requirement is, if I select any new role or if I change the role from one role to other role, right? So automatically this division should be populated with the corresponding value. Suppose I am selecting CEO, so the division should be automatically populated with division 1. Okay, so suppose I am selecting COO, so automatically this should be populated with division 2. So that is the requirement. Okay, so first of all, this requirement we have to try to achieve with existing out of the box tools provided by Salesforce, right? So with validation rules we cannot do this one, right? So we have workflow rules and process builder. With workflow rules, is it possible or not, right? We have to try it. Process builder, we have to try it. So with workflow rules, if you see right, in workflow rules we can perform the field updates, right? So when our role changes, maybe you can update this division field in workflow rule. So but this mapping where we have to maintain, that is the main thing. Okay, so far we did not decide where we are maintaining this mapping. Okay, so if you want to maintain this mapping, you can create a custom object. Okay, but instead of creating the custom object in Salesforce, so we have one more thing called custom settings. We have custom settings in Salesforce. Okay, in custom object is like a table where we can store the data, right? We can store the records. In the same fashion, in custom settings there are two types. One is list custom setting, other one is hierarchy custom setting. Okay, so now I want to explain about list custom setting. Okay, so this list custom setting is similar to custom object, right? However, we store the information in a custom object, right? We can insert the records and we can query those records and utilize. So in the same fashion, in list custom settings also we can store the records information, right? We can store the records. So difference between that custom object and this list custom setting is, so suppose I'm storing 1000 records in custom object. If you want to fetch the information from that custom object, we have to write SOQL query, right? I inserted 1000 records into one of the custom object. I want to see that information. I want to fetch those records and see. So if that is the requirement, we have to use SOQL query. We have to write a SOQL query to fetch the information and display, right? So, but if you see, right, if you show the information in list custom setting, right? So whatever the data you store in list custom setting, it will store in application cache memory. List custom setting data will be stored in application cache memory. Okay, so this application cache memory, there is a limit. Okay, exact limit. Please refer the documentation. So there is a limit of, I think, 2 MB or 5 MB. So exactly I forgot. So but so we have a very limited space, limited memory for this application cache, right? This memory. So whatever the information you store in this application cache memory, so without writing SQL queries, we can access. Okay, so that means right, it will be very fast to fetch the information. Yeah, any questions?
Is it like variable from the memory? Any variable you declare as an values, right?
Yeah, it's not like variable, but it's a table. But so information whatever you store in that, it won't store in the database. It will store in the application cache memory. So we can access it very fastly when compared to data in the custom object, because no need to use any SQL query. It won't go to database and come back. Not like that. So directly it will go to application cache memory, which will be available, which will be very fast. Okay.
What is the scope of the list custom variables?
Sorry, can you come again?
What is the scope of these variables? Whatever you are going to say, right? List custom
Yeah.
variables.
So yeah, it's not a variable. Okay, it is like a table. So like a custom object, here also you can create multiple fields. You can create multiple fields and you can insert the records like that. So it's like a
Correct.
table. Scope means, sorry.
Throughout the project, I can use those list custom variable.
Yes,
Whatever you are going to say.
yes. Throughout the project you can use. Scope is like a custom object only. So as soon as that information is available, you can access it.
But only thing is you don't have any security, right? It is like a global variable kind of thing you can access from anywhere in the any application.
Not any application. Any application in the sense, I mean, so custom objects also, whatever the custom objects we create, so that information also you can access in any application, right? If you create the tab, right? In Salesforce application means, so set of tabs will become an application, but one object can be part of multiple applications. Suppose if you take account, right? Account can be used in sales, marketing, call center, all applications, right? So it will be used across multiple applications. In the same manner, this custom list custom setting also can be used across any number of applications within the same organization. Okay, whatever the Salesforce organization you are dealing only with that one. Suppose here, right, if you see this is Arun's account, so in this we can create multiple users. Maybe if you have licenses, you can create thousands of users within this organization. So the table, whatever list custom setting, whatever the objects we create, everything will be available. Once you go, if you log into other organization, other Salesforce account, so then so whatever you created in that organization, those things will be available. This one you know, right? Hello.
Yes, but that is not specific to any user or anything, right? That's
Yeah,
not a,
yeah. It is not specific. So it is like a custom object only. Okay, so but there are differences between custom object and this custom setting. Difference is whatever the data you store in custom object, it will store in database. If you want to fetch the information, we have to write SOQL query. But in list custom setting, so information will be stored in application cache memory. No need to use SOQL query. Okay, in interviews, if you say this one, so next question. So then, so all the information I can store in list custom setting only, right? So why we need to create a custom object? Maybe they ask like that. If they ask, right, suppose you have a requirement to store millions of records, right? So if you are storing bulk records, then this list custom setting is not a recommended approach because we have very less memory space, right? Very less amount. So millions of records, so you cannot store here. So only if you have your record count is in hundreds, okay, maybe 20, 30, hundreds, right? So only in those situations, it's recommended to use list custom setting, right? So if you have thousands and lakhs of records in those situations, we don't go with this list custom setting. Okay, we have some limited number of records to use for the mapping. In those situations, we use this list custom setting. Okay, that is one difference. That's why, so in some situations we cannot go with list custom setting. Apart from that, on custom object you can create workflow rules, validation rules, you can create apex triggers, process builder, you can create a tab for the custom object. But here, list custom setting, you cannot create validation rule, you cannot create workflow rules, no process builder, you cannot create apex triggers, you cannot create tab also. Okay, so there are many disadvantages when compared to custom object. But only the thing is we can access it without writing SOQL query. So in our logic, if you have a requirement to refer some mapping and do some logic, so in those situations, these kind of mappings, right? So suppose role division. In some projects, you will see based on the location, right? They want to display some zip code, right? So maybe based on the store, they want to get the store ID. So like that, such kind of requirements will come in projects. So in those situations, those kind of mappings you can store in list custom setting. So these things, if you store in custom object, right? So that that speed will be decreased, right? So that is the reason. If you face these, if you get these kind of scenarios, it's recommended to use list custom setting. Okay, and again, you know the differences. So if you are dealing with only hundreds of records, then go with this list custom setting. Otherwise, if you have more records, then so it is not a good option to use list custom setting. Anyway, it will hit the limit, right? So that one we have to understand. So now, so what I will do, right? This mapping, role division mapping, instead of maintaining in a custom object, so I will maintain in this list custom setting, so that I can access it without writing SOQL query. So that so speed will be more. Okay, let's create one list custom setting and see how we can deal with the list custom setting. To create custom settings, search for custom settings here. Develop custom settings. Click on new. So there are two types. One is list custom setting and other one is hierarchy custom setting. Regarding hierarchy custom setting, going forward I will explain. Okay, so now I want to create a list custom setting. I'm selecting type as list. So name, maybe I will give role division mapping. save it.
Selected visibility protected. Is it okay?
Yeah, now it is okay, but so that will matter, right? So protected and public, there are two types. So if you select it as protected, right? So in Salesforce, we create these applications as packages also. Okay, so as we discussed, right, in one of the class, some product-based companies, and they based on some idea, they develop applications and they will make it as a manager package, and they will keep in App Exchange. There is one marketplace called App Exchange for Salesforce. They will keep in that App Exchange. Okay, so in those manager packages, if this custom setting is protected, so they cannot see the existing information available in this custom setting. Okay, if you make it as public, then they can, in manager packages also, they can see the information whatever you are keeping in this um, custom setting, that data they can see. Okay, you understood, right? It will matter when we are creating the packages.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Right here, by default a name field will be available, right, like custom object. So in list custom setting also, by default name field will be available. Okay, apart from name field, I want to create a division field. Okay, in name field I will store role. Okay, I will use name field to store the role, right? But to store division, I want to create one custom field. For that, so custom fields, I am creating new custom field. Clicking on new. Selecting division, right? I'm selecting tested data type. And here division. So I'm giving 32 length. Next. Save. So now in this list custom setting, we are having two fields. One is standard name field, and one more is one of the custom field division. Okay. So now I want to store the data. I want to maintain some mapping in this list custom setting. So for that, so if you see right here, you are seeing one button called manage. Okay, if you want to store any information, if you want to insert any record, you have to click on this manage.
So instead of using manage.
Yeah, I'm clicking on new. Okay, so here maybe I will give CEO. So for CEO I am giving division 1. Okay, save and new. I'm selecting CFO division 2. So if you see right now there are 3 records. So I want to use this mapping in my logic. Okay. So in this role division mapping list custom setting, we are having the data. So based on the data, by supplying role, right? So if you go to user, so in user, whenever we change the role, automatically division should be populated. So based on the role, whatever you are selecting, based on that role, we have to fetch this corresponding division and the display. That is a requirement, right? So this one, let's try with the workflow rule. Okay, but in workflow rule we can perform the field update, right? In workflow rule we can perform the field update, but we cannot look into one of the object. We cannot query the records from one of the object and display. Okay, so workflow rule is not possible. The reason is, so we have to fetch the data from some other object. So in workflow rule, we cannot perform the, we cannot fetch the information from other objects. Okay. So that is the reason workflow rule won't work. So, and again, process builder also. So we cannot look into other objects. If you have any relationship, right? So if you have any related lookup or master detail relationship, so in those situations, you can suppose scenario will be like this. Suppose I'm doing some modification, I'm doing some update on parent. Okay, suppose if you want to update on, you want to perform update on all the related child records. Okay, so in those situations, process builder work. Okay, but here the requirement is, so we have to look into one of the object, one of the list custom setting, which is not at all related. So from that object we cannot query and we cannot update this. Whatever the object you are dealing, those fields we cannot update with process builder. So for this scenario, process builder also won't work. Okay.
Yes, Renu?
Yeah.
One more question. What is the main difference between the visual workflow and workflow? I think that anything can be done using visual workflow. Right? Am I right on that?
Yeah. So that visual workflow is a different one, right? Okay. So in that visual workflow, so we can display some screens, right? So it will display the screens, and so there you can do something. So that will be like a kind of user interface. It will create some user interface. That one we can use in Visual Force pages and all. right? So whatever the actions you perform in that visual force, based on that, so it will proceed and it will give the results. That is a different one. But workflow, it will run in backend. We don't know. We cannot see that one. What is happening, right? If you do something, automatically it will fire something and it will do some action. So we cannot do any. We cannot see anything. What is happening? But visual workflow, it is not like that. So we can embed those visual workflows in one of the visual force base somewhere, and so we can see those screens and we can access them. That is different. Okay.
Right. I thought visual workflow is powerful than process builder. Am I right on that?
No, that visual workflow concept is different. Right? This
Okay.
process builder also. So whatever is
Mhm.
happening, we cannot see. Right? In backend, so it will execute and it will perform some actions based on some criteria. Right? So there is
Okay.
no scope of seeing visibility and all. But visual workflow, I mean, you can display inside of a visual force space. Otherwise, whenever you log into your Salesforce account, so there also you can introduce some screens with visual workflow. So such kind of options you can deal with visual workflow. But,
And
those are
yeah,
different.
and also we can call Apex too, right? Using visual workflow. Then we can query the database as well, right? Resources, whatever, right?
Yes, we can query. But the thing is, right? I don't want to see any screen. So all actions should be performed in backend and do something, right? So if that is the requirement, we cannot go with visual workflow, right? So here, if you observe, so
Okay.
this one, I have to automatically update based on the if I change that role automatically, that division should be updated. That is the requirement, right? So this one we cannot deal with visual workflow, right? And again, in process builder also you can call Apex code. Okay. So in process builder also you can invoke the Apex code. You understood, right? So only the thing is you have to, if you want to call any method, I think you have to include at the rate process or something. Exactly that key that one I forgot. So you have to include that one, and so if you include that one, those methods you can call from process builder also. Process builder is providing that option. Okay.
So then we can achieve that same thing, right? But only thing is you don't want to add all these codes and all. We just okay.
Yeah. So anyway, here also we are using code. We have to do the code coverage, even though from here you are accessing, right? Maybe from this also you can do, but we have to see what is the advantage. See, anyway, here also we have to create one process builder and we have to create Apex class, and for that again we have to do the code coverage, right? So we have to maintain this process builder as well as that code also, right? I mean, we are creating more components, but Apex trigger only one trigger. So within that we can include this logic. Sometimes we have to think like that also. Okay. Um, yeah. So still, I mean, need to do some research actually in process builder. So still they are enhancing this process builder in case of some exceptions and all, right? Uh,
Hmm.
if you want to handle some, in detail exceptions and all with process builder, I think so far it's causing some problems. I think still they are enhancing that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that is the case, then nobody will use this Apex triggers and all, right? But we have one more thing before and after. In process builder, we cannot decide. So when it will execute, before inserting or after inserting, or before updating, after updating, those kind of things we cannot decide. Okay. And again, so after explaining about this Apex triggers, after covering all the scenarios, I will explain about the order of execution in Salesforce. Okay. So we are creating workflow rules, validation rules, Apex triggers. So we have process builder, everything we are having. So in which order these things will fire, that will also matter. Okay. So those things going forward. So after explaining all these things, I will explain so that you will understand. Okay. So now this one, so I'm choosing this Apex trigger, right? I want to implement this scenario with Apex trigger. Okay. So now first question is on which object we have to write the trigger. That is the question. So many people, so they are not able to understand on which object we have to write the trigger. Then it will be a problem. Okay. So first of all, we have to decide on which object we have to write the trigger. Our scenario is, so whenever this role is changed, automatically this division should be populated by fetching the information from that list custom setting. Okay, based on that role, whatever we selected, that is the requirement, right? So now, so on which object we have to write the trigger? So what is the object?
It should be user, right? User should not have object.
Yeah, it is user actually. User is also one of the object, right? One of the standard object. So whatever the users we create, all those users will be stored in user object. Okay, so we have to write the trigger on user object. So next thing, what is the event we have to take? So we decided we have to create the trigger on user object. So now what is the event we have to take? So our scenario is, so based on the selection of the role, automatically this division should be populated. Hello? Hello? Can you come again?
Srinu,
Yeah.
yeah, if nobody is asking, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
But these triggers are only just the backend, right? That means after saving, before saving, or whatever the save, right?
Yeah.
New creating. But is there any way when the field changes, we can populate this value instead of doing after save, before save, is
Yeah.
and all this stuff?
Field change in the sense, whenever you change any field, so obviously we have to save it, right?
No, yeah, definitely we can save it, but without saving also it should populate. Is there any way you can do it in Salesforce?
I understood. So now what you are saying, that, I mean, if I select CEO, automatically here division should be populated, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So these kind of scenarios, if you want to achieve, so since it is a Salesforce standard screen, right? This is a Salesforce screen, edit screen for user object. Okay. So on standard screens, we cannot perform like that, right? So really, if the client requirement is like that, so only the alternative is we have to override that this edit button. Okay. So we have to override this entire edit page with our custom Visual Force page. So in custom Visual Force page, you can do anything.
Oh, you have to write a controller and JavaScript to mimic those things.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, right, in general, right, you know, right, a detail page and edit page. Edit page means where we can populate the information. Detail page means we can see the output, right? You can, if you open the record, whatever the information you see, that is a detail page. In detail pages, inside the standard page, you can embed custom Visual Force pages. Okay, but in edit page, it's not possible. If it is a detail page, so inside the standard screen only, inside the standard Salesforce page only, we can embed our custom Visual Force pages. But that option, I mean, it's not possible with edit page. Okay, in edit page, if you want to embed some custom Visual Force page somewhere within this page, it is not possible. So that's why, so on edit page, if you, whatever the scenario you are asking, if you want to achieve that one, so must and should we have to go with Visual Force, right? So we have to customize everything.
Visual Force, custom controllers,
Yeah,
functions.
but recommended approach is, so we should not propose that one, because if you are using custom means we don't know which kind of issues will come, right? So I mean, for single scenario, simply for this scenario, if you override this one, so going forward, we have to face many problems. Okay, so we have to.
And also,
Yeah.
And also what I heard is standard objects usually Salesforce doesn't recommend all these things. For custom objects, okay, but you can do whatever you want. But standard objects, I think they are maintaining those things, right?
Yeah, I
Usually,
mean, for custom objects also, Salesforce they maintain some standard screens, right? For detail page, edit page, all those things,
uh,
all those screens, Salesforce they are providing. So either for standard object or custom object, especially for standard objects, because you will see a few more features for standard objects, right? When compared to custom objects. If you take some objects, especially they will provide some special features. All those things we will lose if you use custom Visual Force. That's why, yeah, it's not
yeah,
recommended.
probably we can discuss this during the Visual Force
Yes,
sessions and all.
yes,
Please go ahead.
yeah. So now the requirement, right? So what is the event we have to take, right? So here, whenever I change this role, automatically division should be populated. I'm writing trigger on one object called user, and I have to perform the update on the same object. If this is the scenario, as per our discussions, if you see that triggers points in those interview questions. So we discussed it. So you are writing trigger on one object and you are performing update on the same object. In those situations, we use before triggers. So we use before triggers because click on save, right? In before insert or before update only, our logic will apply. So based on this role, it will fetch corresponding division and populate. So still that DML operation, that save or insert or update, it is in progress. In between only we are making changes. Finally, it will save into the database. Okay, no need to specially use the DML statements. You understood, right? Yeah. Let's create it. We'll understand. So the thing is, we have to take before. Okay, so now before insert, at the time of insert also, based on the selection of the role, the division should be populated. Otherwise, after inserting, if I update it, if I change the role, then also it should be updated. Delete and delete, no need, right? So that's why we have to take before, and we have to take, first of all, take object, user object, before insert and before update. Trigger name, user trigger. And again, our trigger should be bulkified, right? Let's change to latest API version. So we have to assume that we are updating or inserting multiple users. Assume that we are updating 200 users. Okay. So for each and every user, right? For before insert and before update, trigger.new will be available. Okay. In trigger.new, you can find the 200 records. Okay. So here, user object, user data type user, right? I'm looping through each and every user object. So what we have to do, based on the role, automatically we have to populate the division. So in user, you will see division field, right? Division, that is a field. So in this division, we have to populate with corresponding division. So first thing is, right, we should have a role, right? Based on the role, we have to fetch the corresponding division. So what I will do, right? So here this role is a pick list, right? But internally this role is a lookup. Okay, maybe here it is displaying as a pick list. But if you see, right, user to role, we have lookup data type. Okay, we have lookup relationship, but here it is displaying as a list, pick list, but internally it is a lookup to role. Okay, so user to role we are having lookup. Okay, so whenever you are having lookup relationship, so if you see, right, whenever you try to refer this role field, you will find the role ID, right? You don't find this name. So if I try to access this role from the user object, so this role will store the record ID of that corresponding role. Okay, now in this role I am having record ID. I don't have name. It won't store name. Okay, internally lookup or master detail fields will store IDs. So here also, if I try to access this field, I can find the role ID. Role name won't be there. Okay, so now if you see, right, user dot role, right? So actually, in case of standard objects, if you see lookup fields and all, so if the API name is something, suppose API name for that one is user role. Okay, so additionally for lookup fields, in standard lookup fields, we have to additionally append the ID. Okay, additionally we have to append ID. So internally API name for that one is user role. That is the API name. That is the lookup API name. But additionally we have to append ID. Okay. But here, right, I want role name. I don't want role ID. Okay. We have this relationship fields, right? User role dot name. Whoever, new to, Salesforce, and triggers, writing triggers. So they think like this. But the thing is, at present we are dealing with user object. Okay. So this can hold, this user trigger.new can hold whatever the records we are dealing at present. Suppose I am updating 200 users. Only this trigger.new can store the user information. Other object informations it cannot remember. So even though we have lookup, right, we have relationship queries also we included. Underscore r dot name, so it featured that parent record information like that. So like that, within the Apex trigger you cannot do like that. Okay, so within the Apex trigger it can store only role ID, but it cannot store, we cannot capture other field information of that role. That one we have to understand. So like this relationship syntax and all, if you give, it won't work. Okay, so within this user we are having only role IDs, that's it. So from role object we don't have any other field information. We cannot capture by using this user. Okay, so but our requirement is we need role name in order to fetch the corresponding division. So for that, since we don't have that role name, since that is not there, we have to query from the database, right? So we have to query from the database. So for that, what I am doing, right? I am creating one set. So here I want to store all the role IDs. In this set, I will store all the role IDs. Suppose I am updating 200 users. 200 users might be related to only 5 roles, right? Whatever the 5 roles are there, all those unique, one role can be repeated for 30 times, 40 times, we don't know, but we are collecting only unique. So user role ID. If you want to see the API name, so go to fields. So here you can see the API name for that role. Okay. So meanwhile, so here, right, we are collecting all the role IDs. This is the one. So now, based on these role IDs, we have to query from the database. Suppose I am taking a list object name is user role. Okay. Roles list equal to, I'm writing a query, select id comma, we need name, right? So we need name. So in general, right, id no need to include in the query. Even though you are not including id in the query, automatically Salesforce will internally maintain that. Okay, no need to maintain that id. So from, we need name actually from user role, where we don't want all rows. And again, whoever starts newly to write the triggers and all, what they do, right, they leave this one like this. It will work, but it is not a best approach, because whatever the roles you don't want, don't query, because we have a limit of 10,000, right, per transaction. 10,000 rows we can query. So but so that is the reason, whatever the rows we don't want, so don't query. Okay, that's why, so we have to apply the filter conditions. Okay, if you are not applying filter condition, it is very dangerous. Okay. Select name from user role, where user role in id in, so all those role IDs we collected here. So whatever the roles we want, only those role information we are fetching from the database. Suppose we have 40 roles, but out of 40 roles we need only 5. So only those 5 roles we are querying. Okay, in this list you can find those 5 roles. Okay, so now again what I will do, right, I will repeat this for loop. Okay, inside of this for loop, I want to access that role name, right? So if you see, right, user dot user role ID, I have role ID, but based on this role ID, I want to fetch the corresponding role name, right? Here we queried all the records, but the thing is, right, even though we queried, within this for loop only role ID is available. So my requirement is, based on this role ID, I want to fetch the corresponding role name. That is the requirement. Based on this role ID, I want to fetch the corresponding role name. So that is the requirement. So that is the requirement. If it is a list, we cannot achieve. That's why what I am doing, right, I am taking it as a map. I'm taking this one as a map. Right, so I'm writing like this. Right, inside of the map I am writing the query. So inside the map, if you write the query like this, one statement you can split into multiple lines. So this is one statement. So within those brackets I am writing this query. If you write like this, right, what it will do, right, automatically all the role IDs will be in ID and the corresponding role will be in role. So it will filter automatically. Suppose there are 5 roles. First role ID, corresponding role record. Second role ID, corresponding role record. In such a way that automatically it will filter and store it in this map. Okay. So now in this map, for this map, right? So that is a map. For that map, if I supply the role ID, right? If I supply the role ID, I will get a corresponding role. Right? I will get the corresponding role. So result of this one is entire role record. So any questions?
Yes, Srini. Now, how we are getting the ID for that map?
Yeah.
Role you are querying, but ID I didn't get that one.
Yeah. So which ID?
Map ID.
Map ID.
Map has ID and map and user are role object, right?
Yes. So I am declaring one map. So that key data type is ID, right? Value data type is user role, right? That is a map I am taking. So within that map, I am writing one SQL query, right? So it will fetch some roles. So what I am saying is, so after fetching those records, automatically it will filter whatever the role ID is there. Role ID corresponding entire role record. Second role ID corresponding entire role record in such a way that it will filter and it will store automatically. Internally, it will store like that. You understood, right?
So that means it will, yeah, that means it will take the ID from the user role object. That's what
Yes.
you're telling?
User role. Yes.
Okay.
User role ID and corresponding entire record.
Okay. So got it. Thanks.
Yeah, but there will be some other scenarios. Only in some scenarios it will works out. Like suppose here ID and corresponding entire role record. Right? So suppose my requirement is in this key I want to store name, role name and corresponding entire record. In those situations, if you write query like this, it won't filter like that. You understood, right? So my requirement is map of string comma user role. In that key, I want to maintain the name. If you want to maintain like that, this syntax, if you follow, it won't works. At that time, we have to loop through these records and we have to prepare the map. We have to prepare the. It will be like this. Suppose, for example, I'm taking map of string comma user role. Okay, that is the requirement. Okay, for this requirement also, map of so for this requirement, so if you include the query like this, it won't work out. Now also it will try to assign ID into this key, corresponding role into this one. But our requirement is I want to store name here. So in that approach, if that is the requirement, this won't work out. Okay, if that is the requirement, what we have to do? We have to look through those records and prepare the map. So for that, we have to do like this. Right, we have to do like this. Okay, these things we have to understand. Then we have to use above approach and this approach, right? So entire record. This will work. Save it so far. Okay, anyway, this one I'm commenting. You understood, right? So in such kind of situations, whatever we included, that won't work. Okay, so now we have this map. For this map, right, from inside
Hello?
of this, yeah,
See, now every role you should be having one role ID, right?
yeah, all records in Salesforce will be having ID. Right?
Yeah. Why you are fetching where ID in roles ID?
I don't want all the roles. Suppose assume that we have around 40 roles, okay, in our organization.
Okay.
But I don't want all the roles. I want roles whichever we are dealing at present. Suppose I am renaming. Suppose I'm updating 200 users. So whatever the associated roles are there for those 200 users, those roles I want. So that's why I'm collecting those corresponding role IDs and I'm fetching only those records. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for that, so inside of this for loop, we have role ID. So based on the role ID, we should be able to fetch the role name. That's why for this map, if I supply the role ID, it will give result of this one is entire user role record. But from that I want only role name. From that I want only role name, right? So this one, keep it like this, right? So this is role name. That is role name. Keep that one like that. So now I want division, right? So based on this role name, I want to fetch the division. So if you want to fetch the
So,
division, yeah,
Srinu, one question. This is Devender.
yeah, they
So, in the map select, right? We are just saying we are just selecting the name column,
yes, yes,
right? The query. So that means the map is only going to have the ID and the corresponding name,
yes,
not other fields of the user object.
yes, not other fields. If you try to access other fields, right,
Uh-huh.
it will throw error. So
Row error. Okay.
trying
Got
to
it.
use trying to use the field without including SQL query. So in such a format, it will throw the error.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So now,
Srinu,
yeah,
Srinu, but you said the entire record, right?
entire record in the sense whatever the fields we include. So here,
Okay.
if I'm including 5 fields, that means that an entire record in the sense whatever the fields we included in that query, that entire record. If you are not including,
Okay.
then I mean you will see that error whatever I am saying. Trying to
Right.
use
Yeah.
to use the field without querying from SQL like that. Okay. Yeah. Now our aim is based on this role name, we have to fetch the corresponding division. So if you want to refer this list custom setting, right? Name is role division mapping. Right, let's copy that. Role division mapping. Right. That is the API name. This is the API name for that list custom setting. So from that list custom setting, if you want to fetch the data, right? Dot. We have one method called no need to query. Get all. Right? Dot get all. So whenever I say dot get all, right? Result of this one will be result of this one will be map of string comma entire this record. Okay. So in this format, it will fetch the data, right? So in this string, right, it will store the name, right? In that here there is no record ID. Okay. And again, remember in this list custom setting, we don't refer record ID like that. So whatever the standard name field is there, whatever the information you provide. For example, in this role division mapping, whatever the name we are giving, right? This will store as a key. So CEO corresponding entire record. That means it will be like this, right? CEO, right? That is a key. Value will be entire record. That record will be having name as well as division, all those things. Entire record. In such a format, it will store actually. Okay. So CEO corresponding entire record. So maybe CEO here name CEO and division 1 something. So CFO again here CFO division 2 like that. In such a format, it will store. Okay. String comma enter record. In the string name, whatever the name is there, custom setting, that will store, and value entire role division mapping record it will store. Okay, you understood, right? It will fetch information in such a format, in such a way. So from that, right, let me comment it. From that, we don't want all the records. Based on the role ID, role name, we have to fetch the corresponding division, right? For this map, this is a map. For this map, if you supply the key, I am supplying key as role name. We have to supply the role name as a key. If you see, right, this is the role name we prepared. That will hold the role name. That one I am copying. For this map, I am supplying that role name. For this map, if you supply the role name, it will give entire role division mapping record. Result of this one is entire role division mapping record. But from that entire role division mapping record, I want only division. I want only division. Division underscore. See. This is what we want. It will be having division, corresponding division based on the role ID. So now this one, what we have to do, user dot division. This will be having division based on the role ID. I'm giving this one. That's it. For each and every user, I'm looping through. We are updating 200 users. I'm looping through each and every user. For each and every user division, right? I'm populating with corresponding division based on the role name. Okay, based on the role name. And again, do I need to use DMS statement or not? That is the question. We have to use DMS statement or not?
Yeah, we need to use.
Yeah, in general, right, whenever we make any changes to records, we have to use DMS statements. But in this scenario, no need to use DMS statement. The reason is already, I mean, here we are editing. I'm changing some role, right? I'm changing some role and saving. Whenever I click on save, this, since it is an existing record, update operation will be in progress. Okay, update operation will be in progress. Suppose user record, we clicked on save button, so it is traveling to update into the database, right? Suppose assume that this is a database, right? I clicked on save. This update operation is in progress, right? It is trying to update into database, but in between, our trigger is interrupting. In between, our trigger will fire. So whatever the updated record is there, that record it will modify. So this logic will modify that one, right? This division in between on the way only, it will modify the division to some other division. Still, that DML operation is in progress. Here our code is interrupting. Still, this DML operation is not completed. After our code also, it will not once again. Still, it is not happen. So this one, before that, our code interrupts and it will modify, and after that, along with our changes, it will update into the database. So that's why no need to use DML statement. Right? In general, whoever starts newly writing Apex triggers, sometimes they might be working in Salesforce, but they might not be working for Apex triggers. So those people, what they do, right? They will do these kind of mistakes. So again, they will try to update this one. All user records they will try to update. Okay, but the thing is, no need. Saving. That's it. We are done with our logic. But we have to.
Hello?
Yeah.
Division name should be unique, right?
Division name. Division is a field.
Division. Yeah, unique, right? Value is unique.
We are not maintaining unique. If you want, we can give duplicates.
Oh, okay.
It is a text field. It accepts any text value. We are not enforcing any unique validation, right? If you, even though you give duplicates, it will take it. Okay, here it is throwing some error. See what is up. Variable does not exist. Role division mapping. So I think API name here spelling is wrong. Okay, so How to maintain same I maintain. Save it. So we are done with our logic. Let's test it how it is working. So before that, do you have any questions on this? So let me know. I mean, if you are not able to follow, I will try to explain one more time. Invalid field division spelling. Division spelling also wrong. Okay, let's maintain that one. So now it is saved. Okay, let's test it. Let's test it. And okay, so actually, if you are not having any questions, right, please be mute because my voice is echoing for me, so I'm not able to concentrate. Okay, so this one, if you see, right, this I'm saving. Let's test it. Okay, so for this, right, CEO, I'm selecting CEO. At present, division, no division is there. Save it.
That's changed.
Save it. It has to be changed. Then only our trigger can say our trigger is working. You see, right, division 1 is coming. Okay, so I will do one thing. It's working. I will give one role which is not present in that mapping. See what will happen. Will throw the error. We have to handle those kind of errors also. If we are writing some logic means we have to handle all kind of scenarios. So if you see, right, so in that mapping, that corresponding to that role, whatever I am selecting, there is no corresponding division. So that's why it is throwing error. Okay, so these kind of things we have to take the precautions. So for that, what we have to do? So first we have to check that role name present in that mapping or not. Right. First we have to check this role name, right? If it is present or not. If it is present, then only do it. Otherwise, don't do that operation. I want to check this role division mapping contains that one or not. That role division mapping contains this role name or not. So how to check? We have some methods. In map we have many methods. Okay, so if you want to check for a value whether that key is present or not, right? So we have one method. That one we have to use. That is contains key. Right? We have contains key method. Contains key. That map, whatever the user role division mapping dot get all, it will be in a map format. If this map is having any this role, whatever the role we are looking, that role is there or not. If it is there, then only it will go inside of the if condition. Otherwise, it won't go inside of the condition. So then so now this error won't come. If the role is not there, it won't try to fetch the corresponding division, right? If it is not there, means it will return null. If you use get, it will return null. Null or something will become null pointer exception. So now this error should not come. Nothing. Yeah, so if the role is not there, nothing is happening, right? So I will do one thing. If the role is not there, then that should become blank, right? Again, there should not be like a old whatever the old role division is there, that one it is displayed. Here I take else condition. Here I take else condition. I will place this one as blank. I'm placing that one as blank. Click on edit. And again, so we have to take many precautions actually. I'm not doing anything. I'm saving. Became blank. But the thing is, right, my trigger should not fire if I am not doing anything. Right? Simply if I click on edit and save, if my trigger is firing, that is not a good approach. Okay, when the trigger should exactly fire? Suppose I'm clicking on edit, I'm making some other change, not role change. I'm modifying some manager name or some other information I'm changing and saving. At that time, my trigger should not fire. Right? My trigger only should fire whenever user changes the rule. Whenever user changes the rule, then only my trigger should fire. Otherwise, my trigger should not fire. Okay. Suppose I'm updating 200 users. Out of those 200 users, only for one user I am changing role. For remaining users, I am doing some other update, some other fields update. For remaining 199 triggers, our trigger should not fire. Okay. So for that, what I will do, right? We have to check before doing this update operation, right? This for loop. I will check if I want to check so whether the user changes that role or not. Okay. So anyway, for insert operation, it should work every time. Okay, insert we do only one time. So at the time of inserting, so it has to be called. But especially for update operation, only if the user modify that role, then only it should fire. So that precaution I have to take for update operation only. Right? So what I am doing, right? Trigger dot is insert. If it is insert, every time it should fire. Every time it should fire. But if it is update, trigger dot is update. If it is update and if it is update, so along with that update, so we have to confirm that role is changed or not. Right? So for that, in that USR we are having that user record role, user role ID. This is new role, right? We are looping through trigger.new. I am checking this new role ID and the old role ID. Both are different or not. Both are different, then only it has to go inside. Both are different means we are making some change. Both are same means we are not changing that role. Right? So here I am keeping condition. This new user role. This is new user role ID. Right? New user role ID should not be equal to old ID. Then only meaning is we changed that one. So if you want to fetch the old role ID, right? So in these situations, trigger dot old, but I have so for new record and old record, ID will be common one. Record ID will be common for old and new. I am looping through trigger dot new. I have that new record ID. Based on that new record ID, I want the old version of the record. So for that, in these situations, we use old map. In a map, we can supply the ID so that we can fetch the corresponding record. So map format will be ID comma that entire old version of the record. This one. So for this map, I am supplying key as dot get key as user dot ID. I am supplying key as ID. If I supply the key as ID, so result of this one is entire old version of the record. Entire old version of the user record. But but from that I want user role ID dot user role. So meaning is new user role ID is not equal to old user role ID, and again that one we have to check only for update. So if you are not keeping update, here we are using old for insert, old won't be there. Since here we are keeping update, it won't throw any error. If you are not including this update, and if you try to access this one, this line will be executed for insert operation also. At that time it will throw error, because for insert operation old won't be there for before insert. So that's why anyway here we are keeping this update. After that only it is checking other conditions, right? If it is failing here, right, it won't execute these conditions. Okay, so like that I am keeping. So now I am confirming that user is changed that role or not, right? If he is not changing, then I'm not doing anything. So,
Srinu, are there any events which can tell if a particular field is like changed or not?
yeah, in trigger, so like this only we can compare.
Okay.
So
What about in Apex? If I want to see if any field value is changed, means
yeah,
the user is taking some action on a particular field. Are there any like methods, or we have to use this approach?
yeah, actually, right. If you take formula fields and validations and all, so in formula fields and validations, you can see some functions called is changed like that, right?
Yes,
Those
that's
functions.
the kind of event I'm
But
looking
in
at.
Apex, so you don't find such kind of functions. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so we have to do, especially in triggers, we can do like this one. We can check. So that is the purpose of providing trigger.old map. So all these things. Sometimes we might be looping through trigger.old. I want a new version. So that's why they are providing new map. So that's why
Okay.
collections they are providing. Okay, but here we have to do like this only. You don't find any out of the box methods.
Okay.
So these kind of precautions we have to take. Okay, and again, so I mean, so here we are writing like this in general. Whenever you are writing the code, so we have to think again and again. So suppose I am writing this, due to this any problem is there, nothing. But here, suppose if there are no role IDs, this role IDs is, I mean, I am updating 200 users which are not having any role. In that situation, role IDs will be empty, right? So I mean, it won't throw any error, but unnecessarily one SQL query it will consume, right? ID in empty, it won't return. I mean, ID equal to empty, it won't return anything, right? So we have to take the precautions. Suppose there are no roles, I don't want to execute that for loop, right? But if you keep, let's keep it dot size, then only do it. But the thing is, this map somewhere I'm using, right? Here somewhere I'm using that map, but here it is going under if condition. It cannot recognize that value, so I'm keeping outside of the for loop, correct? Commented, yeah, below I added. Okay, that one I commented intentionally. So if you see, right, this is like this I'm doing, because this role map we are using here, if it is going under that if condition, it will fall under local variable. Scope will be within that if condition. To avoid that one, I am declaring outside, right? So like this, up to this I am declaring. After that, I am creating memory space and doing like this. You can do like that. So if you keep like this, so if there are no roles associated with users, we are saving one SOQL query. Okay, so we have to optimize like this, and so is there any chance of getting exception if there is no role? In general, if there is no role, since we are creating memory space, it won't throw any exception, so no need of handling exception, right? And again here, all these things we are taking precautions, right? So that's it. Our code is good. Any questions on this trigger? So any questions?
Yes, Srinu, even though you moved the map ID, right, outside if loop,
Yes, yes,
so if there are no role IDs, that means there won't be any reference for that for the division.
yes, that's correct. So now, yeah, if there are no role IDs, right? So there is no memory space. Okay, so it will go here, right? So
Yeah.
we try to do this logic. Yes, that is correct. So this one also we have to avoid it, right? So there is no role IDs means there is no need of changing um, division, right? So we should not do this for loop, right? If
Yeah.
this map is equal to null, because we are not creating memory space, that means it will become null. Yeah, that is correct actually. So if you are not taking this precaution, we will end up with exceptions. If this map is empty, right? So this is not happening. This will become empty. So previously we are not keeping this if condition. It will go inside and try to this map somewhere we are using, right? Here, this will become null, and it will throw the null pointer exception. That is correct. Okay. So this one we have to include like this. Okay. So in such a way that in general we have to think and we have to make changes. And again, so our trigger should be bulkified. So whenever you create any trigger, we have to test with the 200 records. If it is working with the 200 records, then so one trigger will be good. Okay. So any questions, any suggestions?
So it should be other ways, Renu. If we are saying if role maps is null and then we are going inside and we are referring role maps,
Sorry.
it should is not equal to, right?
Yes, it should not be equal to null. Yeah. So if the map is
Probably,
not equal to null, then only we have to write the. Yeah. Hello?
yeah, probably you should put, yeah, probably you should remove this if condition and put a whole if one if condition. Then that will work too, right?
Okay, I understood. What you are saying is,
The entire one if instead of putting a lot of things. Yeah.
right? That is, yeah, that is. Yeah, now it will work without any problem.
Can you send this code, Srini? Probably
Yeah.
copy into Notepad and send it, because the lot of methods we are using, right? Get all, content, keys, and all this stuff, right? It is
Yes.
very hard to remember.
Okay. I will send that project. Okay. Maybe a project or this class is enough.
This class is fine.
Okay.
This class is fine.
Okay. So I will send it after this class. Okay. And again, tomorrow we are having class.